Hollywood's golden era loved glitz, glam, and heartthrob heroes. But underneath those velvet curtains, things got weird and sometimes downright unsettling. What if I told you some of the most disturbing films ever made didn't need gore or modern effects to crawl under your skin? Have you ever watched a classic and felt a chill that wasn't just old film grain? Buckle up. The movies we're diving into next were so twisted, they rattled Hollywood's own power players. Freaks 1932. Forget anything you think you know about old Hollywood horror. Freaks isn't just a film, it's a dare. MGM thought they were getting another spooky circus flick. Instead, director Todd Browning handed them a cinematic hand grenade. Real-life sideshow performers, not actors in costume, filled the screen. People with conditions Hollywood usually kept out of sight, suddenly front and center. Audiences were horrified. Studio execs nearly fainted when the rough cut played, and censors in multiple countries banned it for decades. The story itself is simple: betrayal, revenge, a gold-digging trapeze artist who thinks she can trick the freaks, only to discover that community means sticking together when outsiders threaten one of their own. But the real shock isn't the plot. It's the way Browning forces you to look, and then keep staring back. When the so-called monsters turn on their tormentor in the rain, crawling through the mud, the line between victim and villain gets slippery. Even today, Freaks hits nerves. Some say it's an exploitation piece. Others argue it's a rare moment of empathy in old Hollywood. But here's the kicker: no one who sees it forgets it. The phrase, "one of us," still echoes in pop culture, a warning from a film so disturbing, its own studio buried it. Watching Freaks isn't comfortable, and that's exactly the point. It's a mirror, and what you see might just haunt you longer than any monster under the bed. Psycho 1960. There's a reason why Psycho made people double-lock their bathroom doors for decades. Alfred Hitchcock took all the rules, tore them up, and made audiences question what was safe, on screen and off. Before Psycho, moviegoers expected cozy mysteries and good guys who win. Hitchcock, he gave us a motel, a nervous young man with mother issues, and a shower scene that stopped the world in its tracks. Janet Leigh's character checks into the Bates Motel. We expect her to be the star. 15 minutes later, she's gone, and the audience is left clutching their popcorn, stunned. Hitchcock did more than shock with sudden violence. He weaponized silence, shadows, and Norman Bates's shy smile. The real fear isn't the knife, it's the creeping realization that evil can look polite, gentle, and downright boring. The censors tried to stop it. Critics called it depraved, and lines wrapped around the block for weeks. Hitchcock even made theaters enforce a strict no-late admission policy. Why? Because if you missed the start, you'd never believe what came next. The impact on pop culture is everywhere. Any scene with a shower curtain, anytime you hear those screeching strings. But what made Psycho disturbing wasn't just what you saw. It was what you started to imagine after you left the theater. And here's the kicker: after Psycho, there was no putting the genie back in the bottle. Movies were never safe again, and every thriller owes a debt to the motel on the side of the highway. Still feeling brave? Next time you hear a faint creak behind you, remember, it's probably nothing, right? The Night of the Hunter, 1955. The Night of the Hunter isn't just a thriller. It's a waking nightmare dressed up like a fairy tale. When you hear Robert Mitchum's icy voice whispering lullabies, you know something wicked is coming. On the surface, it's the story of two kids on the run from a man who claims to be a preacher. But calling him just a villain is like calling a hurricane a little rain. Director Charles Lawton filled the movie with shadows, sharp contrasts, and surreal dream logic. Every frame looks like a twisted storybook, but this is no bedtime tale. Mitchum's character, with love and hate tattooed on his fingers, preaches righteousness by day, but turns into a relentless hunter by night. His chilling pursuit of the children down the river is pure cinematic dread. Audiences in the 50s didn't know what to make of it. Was it a horror film? A dark comedy? Even critics were split. The movie flopped at the box office, and Lawton never directed another film. But over time, The Night of the Hunter grew into a legend. a film that gets under your skin with every rewatch. The terror here isn't just in the chase, but in how evil can wear a friendly face and quote sweet nothings while planning your downfall. What makes it disturbing isn't the violence, but the way it taps into childhood fears, trust, safety, monsters in disguise. It's the feeling you get when the lights go out and you're sure someone's hiding in the closet. The Night of the Hunter leaves you wide awake, long after the credits roll. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is proof that Hollywood's worst nightmares don't always wear masks, they sometimes wear too much makeup. This isn't just a movie, it's a barbed wire showdown between Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, two screen legends whose real-life feud poured gasoline on the madness. Davis plays Baby Jane, a washed-up child star rotting in a crumbling mansion, still clinging to faded glory. Her sister Blanche, once the more successful sibling, is now paralyzed and trapped upstairs. The film starts off unsettling and only spirals further as Jane's mind unravels. She serves rats for dinner, torments her sister with twisted games, and swings between childlike tantrums and icy cruelty. The tension is as thick as old wallpaper. The camera lingers on the sisters' faces, makeup caked, eyes wild, every wrinkle a map of Hollywood's forgotten promises. Audiences expected high drama, but what they got was psychological horror, elder abuse, and a merciless look at jealousy left to rot. Davis doesn't just chew scenery. She devours it, tossing Blanche down emotional flights of stairs. People lined up to see the fireworks, but left feeling uneasy. Was this entertainment, or just two icons tearing each other apart? The answer is yes to both. Baby Jane is a slow-burn horror that sneaks up on you, with moments so grotesque and darkly funny they've echoed through pop culture ever since. The film is a warning. Fame fades, but old grudges last forever. And if you think sibling rivalry is bad, wait until you meet the Hudson sisters. The Snake Pit, 1948. Step into the Snake Pit, and you're not watching from a safe distance. You're dropped right into the chaos. Long before Hollywood sugar-coated mental health, this film dared to show what really happened behind asylum doors. Olivia de Havilland's performance as Virginia, a woman lost in a web of confusion and fear, is still raw enough to make you squirm. The story follows Virginia as she's committed to a mental institution, with no sugarcoating or easy answers. Director Anatol Litvak takes the audience through a maze of treatments, overcrowded wards, and staff who flip from gentle to cruel without warning. The infamous snake pit scene, with Virginia trapped in a crowded ward of shouting, suffering patients, isn't just uncomfortable, it's a full-body panic attack on film. Audiences in the 1940s weren't ready for this kind of honesty. Some critics called it too graphic, others said it was sensationalized. But the truth is, the snake pit forced the public and politicians to take a hard look at the system. It even sparked mental health reforms in several states. Disturbing? Absolutely. But important? No question. What makes the film linger isn't just the depiction of suffering, but the sense of hopelessness that creeps in. You want Virginia to escape, to get help, but every turn feels like a trap. It's a reminder that real horror doesn't need monsters. Sometimes, the scariest thing is realizing help might not come. The snake pit still rattles cages, proving that some films are disturbing because they dare to tell the truth. Suddenly, last summer 1959, Hollywood always loved a good scandal, but suddenly last summer took it to a new level. This film didn't just flirt with controversy, it crashed right through the wall, clutching a script so loaded with taboos that censors nearly fainted. Picture this: Elizabeth Taylor at her most magnetic, Montgomery Clift at his most tortured, and Katharine Hepburn giving a performance so sharp you could slice glass with it. The plot? It sounds innocent, until it isn't. A wealthy matriarch wants a doctor to lobotomize her niece to keep a family secret buried. The film tiptoes around unspeakable trauma, repression, and the lengths people go to protect their image. It's based on a Tennessee Williams play, so you know the dialogue simmers with menace. What makes Suddenly Last Summer disturbing isn't just the hints at what happened on that fateful beach. It's the suffocating atmosphere, the sense that everyone is lying to themselves and each other. The institutional scenes are chilling, the power games between characters are ruthless, and the ending, let's just say, it leaves you with more questions than answers. Critics at the time didn't know what to make of it. Some called it art, others called it poison. Either way, the audience felt the sting. Suddenly, Last Summer is a reminder that the scariest secrets aren't always supernatural. Sometimes it's what's hiding behind polite conversation and expensive curtains that will really haunt you. If you think Hollywood always played it safe, this movie will change your mind fast. Baby Doll 1956. Baby Doll didn't just push the envelope, it set the whole mailbox on fire. Directed by Elia Kazan and adapted from a Tennessee Williams play, this film lit up 1950s America with controversy the minute its posters hit the street. What's so disturbing about a movie where nothing is ever quite said outright? Everything. The plot centers on a young, childlike bride in a decaying Mississippi mansion, caught in a tug-of-war between her frustrated husband and a rival who wants revenge. What unfolds is a psychological chess match, full of manipulation, gaslighting, and mind games played for keeps. Every frame sweats with discomfort, with characters circling each other like animals sensing blood. Baby Doll was immediately slammed by critics and banned in several places. The Catholic Legion of Decency went ballistic. Even movie theaters hesitated to show it. Why? Because Kazan let the camera linger on awkward silences, twisted smiles, and moments that made viewers question what they were really watching. The tension is almost physical. You want to look away, but you can't. What makes it truly disturbing is the way innocence gets weaponized. The movie never goes where modern films would, but it dances on the edge with such skill that audiences felt scandalized just sitting in the dark. No jump scares, no monsters, just southern heat, slow-burning rage, and the realization that real danger often wears the sweetest smile. Baby Doll proved that sometimes the most unsettling stories are the ones that never say the quiet part out loud. The Lost Weekend 1945. When The Lost Weekend hit theaters, it shocked Hollywood and stunned regular folks in equal measure. Here was a movie that stared alcoholism straight in the face without blinking or making excuses. Ray Milland's performance as Don Burnham is legendary, and for good reason. He doesn't play a lovable lush or a charming clown. He's a man in freefall, clawing through one nightmare after another for the next drink. The story is deceptively simple. One weekend in New York, following Don's desperate search for booze and, maybe, a little mercy. The city becomes a character, equal parts seductive and indifferent, as Don dodges friends, lovers, and his own unraveling sanity. Director Billy Wilder doesn't sugarcoat the reality of addiction. The camera lingers on the tremors, the humiliation, the moments of bottomless despair. Back in 1945, audiences were not used to seeing this kind of raw honesty on the big screen. The depiction of withdrawal alone was enough to make people squirm. It wasn't just disturbing because it was sad, it was disturbing because it was real. For many viewers, this was the first time the curtain had been pulled back on a problem most people whispered about, if they acknowledged it at all. What's left when the bottle is empty? The Lost Weekend doesn't offer easy answers or tidy redemption. It leaves you with questions, and maybe a new understanding of what hell really looks like. When a film can make you feel sympathy, anger, and fear all at once, you know it's hitting nerves Hollywood usually avoids. That's why this classic is still so unsettling, even now. Cape Fear 1962. Forget shadows in the alley. Cape Fear brings terror straight into the sun. This isn't your standard monster movie. Here, the villain is all too human, and that's what makes it so bone-chilling. Robert Mitchum, already a legend for playing bad guys, takes menace to new heights as Max Cady, a recently released convict with a score to settle. The setup is simple. Cady starts stalking the family of the lawyer who put him away. But the execution? unrelenting. He follows, threatens, and toys with his prey in broad daylight. The suspense never lets up, and you're left glancing over your shoulder even hours after the credits roll. Gregory Peck plays the upright attorney pushed to the edge, forced to confront just how far he'll go to protect his family. Glenn Ford plays Dave Banyan, a cop who just wants justice. But when he starts digging into a fellow officer's death, the rot at the heart of the city oozes out. Suddenly, the line between law and crime blurs. Crooked cops, cold-blooded mobsters, and desperate women all play for keeps. The violence in The Big Heat isn't stylized or cartoonish, it's raw. The infamous coffee scene, where Lee Marvin's thug throws a pot of boiling coffee into Gloria Graham's face, still makes audiences squirm. There's no flashy music to soften the blow, no quick cuts to let you off the hook. It's ugly, sudden, and unforgettable. What makes the movie so disturbing isn't just the physical brutality, it's the way it shows how easy it is for good intentions to be crushed by corruption, and how the people caught in the crossfire, especially the women, pay the highest price. Banyan keeps fighting, but there are no neat victories here, only ashes and empty streets. The Big Heat doesn't just tell you the world is dangerous, it dares you to look away. And by the time the credits roll, you'll understand why this one still packs a punch, decades after the smoke has cleared. Kiss Me Deadly, 1955. Some films want to entertain you. Kiss Me Deadly wants to shake you, rattle you, and leave you wondering if the world makes any sense at all. Mike Hammer, the tough-as-nails private eye, gets tangled up in a case that starts with a desperate woman running barefoot down a highway and ends with an explosion, literally and figuratively, that still leaves people talking. Director Robert Aldrich drags you into a version of Los Angeles where everyone is lying, everyone has something to hide, and nothing is sacred. The film pulses with paranoia, nuclear panic, and the kind of dread that hangs in the air after midnight. The mysterious suitcase at the center of the story, glowing with an eerie light, became the ultimate symbol of temptation and doom, a warning that some things are better left unopened. Kiss Me Deadly was controversial from the jump. Critics said it was too violent, too cold, too cynical, but its real shock comes from the sense that nobody wins, not even the hero. Hammer isn't just a hard-boiled detective. He's a guy in way over his head, smashing through life with fists and bravado, only to realize he's unleashed something he can't control. The final moments are pure atomic age nightmare fuel. Doors slam, alarms blare, and the world feels on the brink. Watching Kiss Me Deadly is like opening a box you know you shouldn't touch, and then finding out what's inside is worse than you imagined. This is Hollywood noir with a pulse and a mean streak. Nightmare Alley, 1947. Carnivals are supposed to be fun until you end up in Nightmare Alley. Tyrone Power ditches his leading man image to play Stanton Carlyle, a carnival barker who'll say or do anything for a taste of fame. His climb up the sideshow ladder is fast, slick, and a little too easy. But in this world, the higher you rise, the further you fall, and fall he does. The real chills in Nightmare Alley don't come from monsters or murder, but from watching a man slowly trade his soul for applause. Stanton cons his way from one scam to the next, reading minds, fleecing the rich, and charming everyone in sight. But as his schemes grow bigger, so does the darkness around him. The carnival's geek show, where desperate men bite the heads off chickens for a handful of coins, is the stuff of legend and a sign of just how far a person can sink. When Stanton's life finally unravels, it's not with a bang, but with a whimper. The ending is famously bleak. The con man who thought he could outsmart everyone ends up exactly where he started, broken and alone. The message? Fate doesn't forget, and neither does the Midway. Nightmare Alley didn't make waves at first, but in the years since, it's been hailed as a true noir masterpiece. If you're looking for a film that unsettles without ghosts or gore, just a steady drip of bad choices and broken dreams, step right up. The show is about to begin. Blackboard Jungle, 1955. Classrooms aren't supposed to feel like war zones, but Blackboard Jungle tosses you headfirst into a school where respect is a punchline and chaos rules the halls. Glenn Ford plays a new teacher, full of optimism, who steps into a city high school that chews up idealism and spits out fear. This movie doesn't sugarcoat anything. From the first notes of Rock Around the Clock, blasting through the opening credits like a battle cry, you know you're in for something raw. The students aren't just tough, they're angry, restless, and itching for trouble. One of them, played by a young Sidney Poitier, leads a cast that makes you feel the tension in every slammed locker and every stare down. What made Blackboard Jungle so disturbing wasn't just the violence or the broken windows. It was the realization that the real monsters can be found right in the classroom. Authority figures lose control, students lash out, and the line between teacher and target blurs more with each passing day. It was a wake-up call for America, shining a harsh light on juvenile crime, broken systems, and the generational gap no one wanted to talk about. Censors tried to tone it down. Parents protested, but the movie couldn't be ignored. Blackboard Jungle set off alarms not just in schools, but in living rooms everywhere. Even now, the lessons it teaches are more than just homework. They're a warning. Disturbing movies aren't just about screams and shadows. They're the stories that crawl inside your mind and stay there, daring you to look at the world a little differently. Which of these Hollywood shockers gave you chills, or did we leave out a twisted classic that belongs on the list? Drop your picks in the comments, hit subscribe for more wild film history, and share this video if you love a good scare. Remember, in Hollywood, sometimes the scariest tales are the truest.